You know those days when you're in a complete muddle and you can't figure out what the hell you're doing because you've had so many things come in at once? That's me. I'm in a muddle, don't know what I'm doing, so stuff it. I was starting to slide down my emotional well-being scores, so now I've come out into the sun. I'm sitting here having a cuppa and something to eat. Might only be 5-10 minutes, and then we'll go back. We'll see how my well-being scores are then. That was good. That raised me to a 9 out of 10.
Hi, welcome to Shelley's Way to Wellbeing. Here, all us professionals aim to take better care of ourselves because we don't. And here we're on a mission to keep our emotional energy scores 8 out of 10 or more. And if you don't think that is possible for you, well, keep watching, because this is what we do here. We talk about all the ways and means that we can keep our emotional energy levels up so we're not drained at the end of every day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I must apologize to you, because what you're about to see is not the best version of me, but it does punctuate a point that I'm trying to make in this video. So take a look.
When I went to film and I realised my face looks bloody awful, and that is because if I have dairy in my diet, this is what I look like. I look puffy, my eyelids get a bit swollen, I get jowly, and yeah, that's dairy for me. So have you noticed that some days you look way better than others? And my question is, are you allergic to something that is in your diet and you are having a histamine response, which is why you look puffy, or you look like you're way older than you are? I've just been at a conference for a couple of days, and even though I'm allergic to a whole bunch of things, I couldn't avoid, I tried to, but I couldn't avoid having dairy. And despite the fact I took antihistamines, I still end up with these puffy eyelids, and I get really jowly. When I woke up this morning, it was worse than this. My point being is that we're trying to keep our well-being scores 8 or more, and every time you catch yourself in the mirror and you're having things that your body doesn't like or doesn't want, what does that do to your well-being scores? My question to you is, are there things that you are consuming? And pay really close attention to what in your body it is doing and how it makes you feel, because you can fix everything else in your world, and if the things that you're consuming your body does not want, well, how's your well-being score ever going to get above 8?
This is actually what I look like when I don't have dairy. Now, as it turns out, I'm actually allergic to a whole bunch of things. I've been filled with allergies for years and years and years, and that's been caused by decades and decades of dieting. The reason why I actually stopped is because when I was cutting up for my last competition, I'd been starving for about a year to get there, and I was looking really, really great, but I passed out at work. Yep, I passed out at work. But as a result of everything that I had done to my body over the years of all the dieting and all of the high protein and everything, long story short, but I've ended up with all these allergies to garlic, onion, cruciferous vegetables, beef, tuna. I can't handle cashews. I can't handle some nuts. Some nuts are okay. I get all of these spots across my forehead if I have certain nuts. I wish more people knew this, but they don't seem to. You know, those people have really dark circles, and even like that really like crinkly, wrinkly skin underneath their eyes, and just really, really dark there no matter what they do. They've always got these really dark circles, particularly men. Women have it too. It's usually a sign that they're actually allergic to dairy. And if they just took dairy out of their diet for 2 days, it would all be completely normal under there. Dead set. That is usually a sign, and sometimes they're allergic to beef too. So dark circles usually means allergy to dairy. Spread the word. People don't realize this stuff.
That's the other thing that people don't realize, is I thought that maybe I was starting to get Alzheimer's because my short-term memory was really, really suffering, and just the oddest things. I couldn't remember something that happened the day before, or something that just had happened 3 minutes ago. We were just talking about something and I'd forgotten. And it turned out for me, because I had had my diet so honed and I knew exactly anything that had changed, it was actually the preservatives in bread and the preservatives in any item that's, processed and has a preservative in it. I've never been able to narrow down which preservative, but it, that just totally rattled me. So now I have to make my own bread too, so that I'm avoiding all that stuff, because I reckon there's probably a whole bunch of people in old people's homes and stuff with dementia and everything, and it is just the preservatives that they're eating. I am sure of that. The other thing that I get is if I have caramel colours or particular colourings in foods, I get heart palpitations. I used to find that every time I'd cut up for competition and I'd be on the protein shakes and they would have a caramel colour or a particular colouring in them, I would get heart palpitations. And then when I wasn't competing and needing those protein shakes, I wasn't getting them. And I narrowed it down through trial and error. Heart palpitations was as a result of colouring. So it is really, really important for you to consider what are the things that I'm eating doing to me, and therefore what are they doing to my well-being. It just happened to me then. I just went to film this and I couldn't remember what I was about to say. So now I have to stop and have a think. Have I had a preservative recently? And it usually doesn't happen the next day. It happens a couple of days after, and it lasts for about a week and a half for me, that short-term memory loss. I was at the conference last week, breads and things, and they would have had preservatives in them. So that's what it would be for me, guaranteed. The preservatives in the foods that I would have had while I was at the conference would be why I've got that brief short-term memory problem this week. But the good news is it doesn't have to stay that way. So please, if anything I have said about anything to do with allergies and how it's affecting the brain and the body and your well-being, or visually how you look or anything, please pass this on to other people that you know that might be suffering from these things, to really start to nut out and write down the things that they're consuming and how they feel and how their body's looking or responding. And the next day, if they're looking or responding like something's wrong, then retrospectively write down everything that they consumed the day before, so that they can start to keep a bit of a track. And then only through comparing all of those different things that you have eaten over time, you realise that the common denominators and what's actually causing the problems. The other thing is, are you feeling isolated? Sometimes if you're a professional, you're doing a particular job, you're working your guts out, you probably don't have much of a social life, and there might be people around you, but that doesn't stop you from feeling isolated. So, are you feeling isolated? And you probably know that there's something you can do about that, but you just haven't got around to it, you haven't done it, you're scared, or you think it's not going to go well. But my question to you is, there's something that you can do to feel more connected to someone. That could be walking down the corridor and saying g'day and asking about something that truly matters in their life. That could be calling that friend back. That could be checking in with someone that you haven't talked to for 5 years. Have a stop and think, what can you do to feel a little more connected? If at all you're feeling isolated, for some reason I felt that I had to put this in this video, so here we are, I'm putting it in for you. As a high school principal, I can feel isolated because even though I've got lots of people around me and they're fantastic and they're helpful, their comprehension of what I have to do on a day-to-day basis, they just don't understand that, and nor should they, because they're not in the role. But are you feeling isolated? And how can you be a little bit more connected? You can even talk to someone that you're feeling a bit isolated. I'm not telling you to go get therapy, but there's probably a way that you could feel less isolated.
Well, I was working today and realised that my emotional energy levels are around about a 4, and my shoulders were getting really tense and tight, and normally I probably would have stayed there with the colleague that I was working with and let them finish their phone call to finalise the conversation, which I'd really already finalised, but I decided instead to choose me. So here I am, walking around my oval, out in the sun and next to the trees, which you can see behind me, in order to try to regain some of my well-being scores. First lap, I still feel like a 4, and we'll see how I finish at the end of the second lap around the oval, which is my go-to space. And my question to you is, what's your go-to space? What's your thing that actually really increases your emotional energy level enough
and actually brings you back up. And it's only through trial and error that you figure this out. You do baby steps of trying something. Sometimes I bring someone with me and we go for a walk together and we just have a chat about nothing in particular, and that can really be helpful too. So what can you do? What are the things that bring up your emotional energy level? And only you can answer that, and you can only do it through trial and error. For a while there, I had a table and I jot down what I did and what my score was before and what it was after to see if that helped. And once I found this walking around the top oval business for me, that worked, so I'm sticking with it. Once you find one thing, all you need is one thing. So we'll see how I go by the end of my second lap. Well, I'm feeling more like a 6 now. So I had a big meeting today that I'd been quite worried about, and it went well, but I just need to process. So I think I might actually take myself downtown and get into my emails from a coffee shop and actually have someone serve me coffee and have something to eat. Well, I'm really quite annoyed with myself for not leaving on time today. However, my emotional energy levels are an 8 out of 10. So I don't have to do my third space activity when I leave today, even though I'm later than I wanted to be, and I'm still an 8 out of 10. So that is really positive. And the reason why I'm an 8 out of 10, because I faced something that I was afraid of today. So sometimes facing your fears is actually what is going to release the negative emotional energy. Now, with the mission being 8 or more, I'm getting ready for work at the moment, and sometimes, we go through our mornings and we just go, and you don't even stop to think about yourself until somewhere way late in the day, even after work, and even then you don't even think about yourself then. So in the morning, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just going, okay, the mission is 8 or more, so having an emotional level of 8 out of 10 or more, and constantly seeing where you're at and where you can bring yourself up to and what you can do from where you're at to bring it up, even a score of 1 out of 10. Now, this morning, I've assessed myself and I'm at about a 6. Didn't sleep well. I did something that I have had on the go for about nearly 2 years. And I couldn't get traction with something that I was working on, but I finally had a really big meeting with really, really important people to actually work on something that was really brave, to make a really bold step towards an area of passion and purpose in my life. And that will be a part of this video about what are you going to be able to do about that. It's just because I was so excited about that, I didn't get enough sleep the other night. I just woke up and I couldn't sleep. So I am a bit weary, but so that's why I'm about a 6 out of 10. So what can I do? Let me stop and think about that. What can I do today to bring myself up to an 8? This morning, even on my way to work, I know what brings me up to an 8. As I get to work, I like to put my headphones on and listen to, I'm really into beat drop music. I know. I live in the country. They all love country music. That is not me. So I really like to listen to that loud on my headphones as I get to work and when I start to open up things and get as much work as I can while I've still got the headphones on. That usually brings up my emotional energy level to about an 8. That's what I'm going to do. What's your emotional energy level right now, right this second? Score it out of 10. And then stop and ask yourself, what is it that you're needing? Do you need peace? Do you need downtime? Do you need to finalize that thing? Do you need to follow up with something? Do you need to clean something out? Do you need to just lie down and have a nap? What is it that you're needing? Do you need to connect with someone? Do you need to get out in the sun? Do you need some nutrition? What is it that you are needing? Do you need to stop and take a moment and close your eyes and just feel your emotions? What is it that you're needing? How can you get yourself up the chain from where you're at now up to 8 or more out of 10? And then go and do it. Don't just think about it. Go and do it and see what it actually does do to your emotional energy. It's these little things, these little tweaks every single day, these little tiny things that are the only thing that's going to get you there and keep this going okay. Do you need to take a couple of deep breaths like you would after you run away for a lie and you go, oh, I'm safe now? Is that the trigger that you need to send your body? Up to you. Well, I've been at a conference for 2 days and it was really good to rub shoulders with other colleagues that do what I do. I'm a high school principal, so it's really nice to be around other colleagues, but I'm totally beat. And so I'm a 4 out of 10 for my well-being. I've got a 2-hour drive to get home because I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere right now because that's where the conference was, but at least it's a big centre and there is such a thing as shops, which isn't really the case where I live. So what does my well-being need in order to bring up to 8 or more? Well, there's a project that I really want to work on, but I need the gear for it. So I'm actually going to go to Bunnings and get the gear, and how that's going to bring me up to an 8 or more, I don't really know at this stage because I just don't want to face the 2-hour drive home, but no one's going to drive me. I'll go and take my time dawdling around Bunnings and get what I need. Well, a good dawdle around Bunnings did me good. So I reckon I'm at about a 7 out of 10 and I'm now hungry. So now I've got to go back into town. Maybe I'll go through drive-through.
Earlier in this video, I did make a point about being brave. And I'm not telling you to go and do something like crazy, but what I am saying is, are your well-being scores a bit lower because you know in your heart of hearts that you're not being brave and actually stepping out of your comfort zone in some way to expand yourself? And that is about being brave and facing what could be adversity or facing what could be fear. More, that's the only way you get out of your comfort zone, right? Is to expand and be brave. So my question to you, and this might not be you by any means, maybe you live a very brave life, but in case it is, I am wondering, is there a way that you can be a little bit more brave tomorrow or right now? What can you do to be a little bit more brave, to take a little bit more of a step out of your comfort zone, maybe to achieve something that you've been wanting to achieve, maybe to reach out in a way that you've had on your mind but you just haven't actually done because perhaps you've prevented yourself, you've been a bit scared. But is there a way that you can step out and be a little more brave? So we covered this a little bit in some of the videos where I was just trying to bring myself always back up to an 8 or more out of 10, and that is literally trial and error. So this is what I did. I just kept myself a little bit of a checklist of this is something that I tried, and this was my emotional energy level before, and this is my emotional energy level after. So that is my suggestion to you, is when you're trialing the things that bring you up to an 8 or more from wherever you are, the summary points are: number 1, how can you assess what increases, that's an up, your well-being score? How are you going to assess it? What are the little trials that you're going to do to see what brings up your well-being score? And this is where I feel like it's a really good idea to ask yourself, what inspires you? What gives you joy and makes you have a bit more fun? These are good clues to start with in order to trial things to see whether they bring your well-being score up and in what time frame. So if we're all about 8 or more, this is number 1. Number 2, pay attention to how you're feeling. So how you feel, and can you link it to any foods or drinks and see if there's anything in there that is impacting you from being as well in terms of your well-being score as possible. And number 3, how can you be less isolated. So less isolated, more connected, usually means higher well-being. All the studies show that. And lastly, how can you be more brave? What little baby steps can you make to being a little bit more brave in your world? Good luck. If you are trying to push to an 8 or more in terms of your own well-being, maybe send this on to someone else, a colleague or a friend or family member who you know doesn't look after themselves very well, and maybe they need to also join us on our 8 or more movement to look after ourselves as professionals.